Hey guys, so this video is going to be covering the introduction paragraph of your DBQ essay. Now, as a reminder, the essay question that we're going to be answering is how did the Constitution guard against tyranny? Okay. Now, when we go into our introduction paragraph, it's going to be exactly that. It's an introduction. It's going to have a hook that is going to hook the reader and capture the reader's attention to continue reading. Then it's going to give a background. And then after it gives the hook in the background, then it's going to give the answer to the question, which is the thesis. Okay. So the thesis is something that is usually really hard to come up with when writing an essay. But for this instance, we have given you the thesis for you. So you don't have to worry about the thesis. The answer to the question is the framers of the Constitution avoided a tyranny by using federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances, and large and small state compromise. That is your answer. Now, in order to get that, you need to have a hook and the background. Okay. Now, when it comes to the hook is going to be a way to grab the reader's attention. And the way that you guys are going to write your hook is you guys are going to write a story, a first person story that goes into detail of an example of tyranny or somebody abusing their power, which is what tyranny is. Nowhere in the hook are you going to explain what tyranny is or even mention tyranny. You're only giving an example of somebody abusing their power. For example, for my introductional hook, I would write, man, I can't believe this guy right next to me is about to pull out his chips in class. He knows that we're not supposed to be eating. Oh man, he's being really loud. And he's chewing really loud too. The teacher's gonna hear. Oh man, now the teacher's looking at me. He's yelling at me. But it wasn't me. I'm telling him it's not me, it was him. But the teacher doesn't care. Now he's saying that I got a week's detention for something that I didn't do. Why am I getting in trouble? You see, that is an example of a first person story, right? Nowhere did I mention that there was tyranny, but it was the abuse of power. The teacher didn't want to hear anything that I had to say. He just called on me, said it was me, so therefore I'm the one who's getting in trouble, even though I didn't do anything. So after you have that as your hook, then you're going to go ahead and go into your background. And then I would say something such as, this is an example of somebody with too much power or having all the power. And this is something similar to what was faced by the colonists under King George, who was a tyrant. And then you can also then go into detail of what a tyrant is or what a tyranny is and explain that a tyranny is having all power in one, whether it's one person, one small group, or one large group. After you go into that detail, then you would go into the detail about the framers of the Constitution and how they came together to be able to fight against this tyranny, to create a constitution that says that we're going to form a government that will have no tyranny, and that way no one will abuse of power. Once you have that, then it would go into the thesis. And then the thesis, like I said before, is the framers of the Constitution avoided a tyranny by using federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances, and a large and small state compromise. So that is your introduction paragraph. You have your hook with 3 to 4 sentences of a story, a first person story of somebody abusing power. And it could be, again, I use the example of a teacher. You can put yourself in an era with the king, or you can use an example of a police officer. And then you're going to give the background. What is the background in that era? What is going on with the colonists that they want to be able to step away from this tyranny, from this tyrant, King George? And then you would finish off strong with your thesis. So this is your introduction paragraph. Again, it should be hook background thesis.